everybody, and we are back. Can you tell me right now if you can hear me stereo or mono? Let me know. I pressed a button, and I'm hoping that this solved all my problems. So, you can hear me stereo? Can you hear? Oh, yes, stereo and great. Okay, beautiful. I'm happy to hear this. Okay, I'm going to jump right in to left foot secrets. I just wanted to say, since we just started again, that this morning my aunt passed away, and I've been at my family's place since 5 a.m. It's been a rough 6 to 7 hours, but I ran home. I wanted to be here with you all. I wanted to talk about left foot secrets because Drumeo and you all make me happy and really lift my spirits. So today we are going to go head on to understanding left foot secrets and why I like to use my left foot and what it helps me and how it helps me, okay? So when I'm playing grooves, especially when I'm playing grooves with my right hand, I love using my left foot to help me keep time. That's one of the purposes for the left foot, is to help you keep time as to where you are. It centers you. And there's different ways to do that. You can have the hi-hat with your left foot on quarter notes. You can have it on eighth notes. You can have it on every other end. You can have it open, close. You can have it close, open. You can just have it open. There's so many things that the left foot has to offer that sometimes I really feel that it's overlooked. Sometimes I feel like we focus on our kick pedal a lot, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like the same amount of time that we spend with our right foot, we should equally be spending it with our left foot. So one of the reasons that I like to incorporate my left foot is for time keeping purposes. So if I want to do a little bit of improvising and I'm playing some offbeat rhythms when I'm soloing, I can mark down the time with my left foot. So in solos, in fills, even in grooves. And then on top of that, I love to use the left foot as ornaments, as even a drum. So for example, let me show you what I mean by that. So for example, if I'm gonna play this, 2/4 on snare, kick 1 and 3, 8th notes on ride, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, now let's say I want to add some percussive rhythms with my left foot. So check this out. So you see that? Like, it just adds... It can also be used as a percussive element. Or if I'm keeping time, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Or if I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Or if I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So a lot of purposes and different ways to use it. I want to talk about some quick exercises of how I've developed my left foot. Everything that I do on the ride cymbal, whether it's playing jazz, whether it's playing groove, I always do my best to incorporate my left foot. And what I like to do is, Thomas Pridgen has this saying that says, everything that you can do with your right, you could try and do with your left as well. And I definitely use that in this context, but in a different way. So if I'm playing, if I do this rhythm that we talked about in our last stream last week, this kick, 1 E and a, and 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, and your left foot is on ands, right? We talked about this last week, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So going back to understanding, doing everything that Thomas Pridgen said that you do with your right, you should do with your left. So I take that in this context. So if I'm playing my left foot on ands, 3 and 4 and, put it on quarters, 1 E and a 2, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, or put it on ands, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So everything that I do, whether it's fills, grooves, whatever, I like to tackle all the most popular hi-hat patterns. And I find there to be various hi-hat patterns that are very well known and used. One being quarter notes, just 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's number 1, quarter notes. Number 2 is on the ands, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's the second most common one. And the third, okay, this is not in order, so I don't want to get in trouble by people saying, Sarah, that's not true. But these are, I would say, like the top 3. So we said quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we said ands, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And now we're saying 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. So like the quarters and the eighth notes. These are 3 of the most left foot hi-hat patterns that I have come across that I see incredible drummers using. So whatever you do, whether we're playing fills, even if you go back to any of my coach streams where we talked about paradiddles, where we talked about the Indian grooves, whether we talked about linear things, whether we talked about the doubles, kick, kick, right, left, kick, left, right, all of those exercises, I challenge you to go back and add the left foot. That's it. That's all. Or if you go to any other incredible coach stream pages, any of their exercises, just add your left foot. And that's kind of been what I've been doing to really develop it. I get a lot of questions that, Sarah, how did you develop, your coordination or your left foot independence? And I just said, literally, whatever I play, add the left foot to it and make it challenging. So we have quarter notes, eighth notes, and ends. Dennis Chambers is one of my heroes. And what Dennis Chambers does, one of the many things that he does open, close, open, close, open, close. And when you're doing open and close on the hi-hat, open, close, it's kind of like you are splashing with your kick on the heel, open, and then tapping close, open, close, open, close. And you're kind of moving it back, and you're like swish, close, swish, close, swish, close. So that's a popular one too. Dennis Chambers, I believe, does this a lot on quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also do it as eighths, but I'm telling you, when you do it as eighths, I don't know, I feel cramps on my what is it, ankles, shins, whatever you want to call it. I actually start getting crampy if I go. Already feeling it. So that's open close. So you hear the difference if I just go. So did you see how the pattern that stayed the same on the kick and snare, that didn't change? But the left foot hi-hat changed the accents. Do you see how much color that added? It definitely felt like the feel changed. So that's another point that I want to bring. The thing with the left foot is that it helps go from section to section. So for example, if I'm going on a verse, I'm at the verse. Verse. Pre-chorus. Chorus. Hey. Verse 2. Okay. Verse 3. Okay. And bridge. Verse. Pre-chorus. So these are some of the exercises that I do, is that I'll play the same pattern over and over again and change up the hi-hat. And also, here are some different exercises that I can touch on. And I'm just reading the comments here. So I'm telling you, with the hi-hat splash, you can totally do it, but you have to take it slow. I had to take it really slow. Like, I would literally go, I would do this. I would go 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? Give me a second. Let me change the camera angle. Give me 1 second, my friends. Hey. Now you can see my left foot and you can see my SpongeBob carpet. Do I have any SpongeBob friends here? Any SpongeBob fans and friends? Can you see my left foot? Can you see my left foot? Okay, great. So if you look at my hi-hat, so when I'm doing the splashes, check this out how I'm doing it. I'm going swish with my heel, like I'm going in the middle of the pedal, swish, and then I tap back. I go swish, and I tap back. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I do the splash, I release my foot. And then I snap back. 1, 2, 3. So you can see the motion. It's kind of like a forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, back, forward, back, forward, forward, back, forward, back. So that's just basically how I do the splash thing. Let me know if you have any questions so I can address them and show you and answer any questions that you may have about the left foot. And I don't know if you can see it, but on the ground I have a kettlebell here. So I always, because I play my left foot really hard usually, like I love to go really fast with my left foot. So I always find whenever I'm doing gigs or something, I have to bring a sandbag with me, or I bring my workout kettlebells because it helps me prevent it from moving. Another thing so we talked about the splash. Any questions about the splash? About the splash technique? So again, there are many ways to do it. This is the way that works for me. It's literally heel, then tap, heel, tap. So you can do this as quarters, eighths, and you can go open, close, or you can go close, open. Okay. I want to talk about some exercises that I used. Remember how I said that quarters on the ends or on eighth notes are the 3 very popular hi-hat left foot patterns. So some of the exercises that I like to do is, remember we talked about 16-note subdivisions? I have a PDF in my previous coach streams, or if you check on any other, it's like everywhere. The 16-note permutations where you have 1 E and A, or 1 E and E and E, like all the different groupings that can be in single, double, and triple for 16-note permutations. Take that and read it with your kick. So 2 and 4 on the snare. Let's go through this slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's run through it quickly. So remember we talked about many times, we talked about stability versus dancing. So I do stability versus dancing with everything that I do. And the beautiful thing about the left foot hi-hat is that the left foot hi-hat helps you with the stability in the dancing. Usually for me, it works as a stability. But sometimes I like to use it as dancing. So first, let's talk about the hi-hat being the stability. So these are some exercises that I like to work on. First, I would like to say that I think it's important to spend some time with the left foot alone. Like what I would do sometimes, previously what I would do, I would just sit there and play eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I was so obsessed. I still am obsessed with Tony Williams, but I feel like I had a phase where I was like crazy obsessed with him, where he, to me, was like one of the pioneers of this, of eighth notes on the hi-hat, like really, really fast eighth notes. So what I would do is I would spend like at least an hour on a day, kind of like half an hour to an hour a day, just playing eighth notes. And I would track it for a number of years. And actually, what prompted me to get on my left foot game is when I watched Daphnis Prieto play. Daphnis Prieto has also done a lot of lessons at Drumeo. He is incredible. And anything that he plays, all these syncopations and rhythms, he always adds his left foot, and it blows my mind. So I remember seeing him live many years ago, and when I saw him doing that, I'm like, I have to get on my hi-hat game. So it got to a point when I'd be playing when I started getting cramps really easily. So if you're like me, the way I used when I first started out, take it slow. Take it slow. Joy, I know my hi-hat, I have to put my kettlebell properly. I have 2 kettlebells that I put. My mom took it upstairs for her workout last night, and I forgot to bring it back down. But I will. But yeah, the hi-hat is always dancing and moving around. So when I first started with the hi-hat, I had to start slow. I went 1, 2, 3, 4. And for me to get better, to see some progress over a period of time, I had a sheet of paper and I stuck it on my wall. And I said, okay, nice. Maybe today is week 4 that I've been working on this. Maybe I've been working every 2 days for half an hour on my left foot. And let us say that I can now play my left foot hi-hat at 100 BPM with 8 notes. Let's say that. Okay, then I would ramp it up. So now I think I can play my left foot at least for a minute straight on ends. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I think I could do it at 170 BPM. 170 BPM, 8 notes, but I'm still like suffering though. Like 160 is comfort now-ish, but 170, I'm like, ooh. So yeah, like I'm obsessed with my left foot. It's basically changed my life. Anyway, back to the exercises. So I'm just trying to make this point that if you are starting out with your left foot hi-hat, don't be discouraged by the cramps that you feel in your leg. Don't feel discouraged that it doesn't, even I found like as I'm sitting down on the stool, like do I have to sit back? Do I have to sit forward? It's like you kind of have to position yourself because you kind of end up being like a spider. Is a spider a good analogy? Because all your limbs are moving. You're like basically touching 4-limb coordination. So you have to really figure out what works best for you. Okay, so let's go back to the exercises that I'm doing. I'm just refreshing my Drumeo page. And guys, I need you all to please submit questions for me. Please and thank you. Let me check. Okay. Let's go through some exercises. So we talked about 2 and 4 on the snare. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we said add 16th note permutations on your kick drum. So this is how I would start. Just first let's do quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, you know what? Let's do kick 1 and 3. And I'll go slower. I have a tendency to go too fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay. Now we're going to add our left foot on quarters. Count out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then stop playing the left foot hi-hat. So what's our stability? Pick any sort of stability that you want to add your left foot to. I leave that up to you. But for this lesson, we are doing kick on 1 and 3, snare on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now stop playing the hi-hat. Now do you see that I have worked on the ability that I can start my left foot hi-hat and stop it whenever I want? So check it. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4 without hesitation. I stopped it. So I say this to say that I believe it's important for each of your limbs to have the power to have its own voice. So to me, that's one of the biggest secrets of the left foot is we neglect it all the time. It's a part of the drum set that sometimes I feel is neglected. Like I feel like left foot hi-hat is really used in jazz a lot, but I feel like it can be used in so many other ways and it adds so much. But you don't want to be like, okay, stop now. Okay, I have to stop the whole beat to stop the left foot. You want it to be effortless. So this is an exercise. 4 bars, quarter notes with the left foot hi-hat, then stop it. See if you can play this. I play this game all the time with myself where I'm like, okay, go. Stop. See? Left foot stop. Go. Stop. Go. Go, go, go. Stop. So you see, I'm not even like, at this point, I'm not even thinking about it. I feel like I am like telling my left foot what to do. And I feel like it's great to get to that point. Okay, so this is exercise number 1. So left foot on quarters. Okay, and right now we're only doing kick on 1 and 3. Then you can move it to the E. Then you can move the kick to the N. And then the any subdivision that you want on any bass drum pattern that you want. And it's like even taking, what's your favorite song on the radio? What's your favorite top 40 song on the radio that you're listening to now? I don't want to make this too like exercisey. Sometimes it becomes very exercisey, which is cool. But then I really believe like it's great to have the application head on and first. When you have the application right in there, then when you go from practice room to the gig or to the session, it's effortless and you feel like you can apply it rather right away. So pick any top 40 song that you're listening to, any popular song. Usually it's like quarters or 1, 2, 3, 4, or if it's like a little bit of R&B, you can even do it. See, 1, 2. See, you can tell I worked on this a lot. Literally, when I say I tried to apply it everywhere, literally, I apply it everywhere. Okay, so back to kick on 1 and 3, snare on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now so remember how we did quarter notes? We went 1, 2, 3, 4. We did 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop left foot. All right, see, I'm in control of this bad boy. All right, now left foot is going to go on the ends, only on the ends. All right, Sarah, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and stop. See the control? And then we've talked about this many times where yes, it's important to speak the subdivisions, but it's also important to like hear the sounds. We've said this before that the literature came after the music, right? So if we're going ch, 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 or ch, 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 ch. So when I'm playing, I like to go out loud. Either I count and then I go into my beatboxing. So ch, cha, cha, ends. Cha, 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 cha. Okay, now third one. Cha, 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 cha. Cha, cha. So do you see what I'm doing there? It's like anything that I'm doing right now, my priority is in what beat can I add the 3 most used left foot hi-hat patterns, which are quarter notes, the ends, quarter note, the ends, and all of the 8th notes. Does that make sense? And my friends, please submit questions so I can answer them if there are any questions for me to answer. Okay, so this is some of the exercises that I use. And then, if you're feeling daring, then do the open and close. So, now check this. When you're doing open and close, you can do open and close as quarter notes or open and close as 8th notes. And I remember we've talked about this many times, and I've always said that whenever you see an 8th note or a quarter note, to me that is still extremely vague. Remember before we talked about hi-hat tones, we talked about the tip. We talked about the shaft. We talked about, so if we're playing 8th notes, for example, with your right hand, shaft, tip, or tip, shaft. So, and this is, if you look on a sheet of paper, it's all written as 8th notes. 1 and 2 and, or 1 and 2 and, or 1 and 2 and, or 1 and. So you see there's so much. So when I say the top 3 left foot hi-hat patterns that are used are quarters, ands, or 8th notes, again, it can be interpreted into many, many ways, okay? So, I saw a comment. Who else wants a better drum mat after staring at Sarah's? Let me tell you something, okay? So I have my SpongeBob. So this is not even like a drum mat. I ordered this from Amazon like at the beginning of the pandemic because I stopped. I was getting a little like sick of being in the basement, so I needed something that lined up my mood. So I got the SpongeBob carpet, and then I realized that okay, it's kind of small. So I got my Powerpuff Girls carpet. But then I felt fancy and I felt cool that when I changed my room, as in when I turned the drums around, I'm looking at this red wall that's really boring me. So literally across the room, I have my Powerpuff Girls carpet on the wall hanging. But then I didn't think it through that now what am I going to do with like half of my drums on the ground? So yes, I need to invest in a new drum carpet. But yeah, SpongeBob you can see his like face is like getting ripped off. But yeah, it's all right. It's okay. He knows what it's for. It's for the love of drums. So he has a high tolerance. Okay. So we talked about left foot hi-hat, and we talked about quarters, eighth notes, and ends, and how by just saying that it's already very vague. So let's add the open and the close to quarters. So that can be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can go close open. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it as eighth notes. Open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, close, open, close, open, close. Close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open. So I don't know if you noticed this, but when I can you see? Okay. When I hit the hi-hat, when I do the splash, when I let my foot go, do you see how there's more resonance? But if I don't let my foot go, it just makes a splash. Versus. See, it's like these small details that really matter and that really make it. I'm very meticulous. To me, sound is everything. Whether it's a small open, whether it's a big open, it makes the world of a difference. So again, eighth notes, very vague. Then if I say open and close, it's still vague. You can still take it to another level. So I hope that makes sense. For some reason, I can't see any questions in the chat. I've refreshed a few times. Let me refresh one more time. There we go. I see questions. Okay, let me move my camera up. 1 second, friends. And let me show you my Powerpuff Girls carpet on the wall. Did everybody see my Powerpuff Girls carpet? Did you like it? Okay. Let's get to answering some of these questions. Righty. All right, question numero uno. Oh, one thing I wanted to say is that I believe to improve at anything that you're working on, it's important to make it a part of your day. So what I'll even do is when I'm driving, I don't know if I recommend this to everybody, but when I'm driving and I'm at a stoplight, you know when like your gas pedal and everything's to the right, and then maybe some cars don't, I don't know. But in my car, there's like this little, like a stool, kind of like a surface that's like on an angle. I'll put my left foot there, and I'll just start like tapping my left foot like this. I'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and just like, because when you're playing with your left foot, it's literally like this. It's like this. It's this kind of like motion, like your ankles, and it's a muscle that I find that we have to build if we want to increase the speed. So yeah, even when I'm like sitting down and I'm thinking about drums and I'm sitting on my bed or something and I'm playing a beat with my right foot on the ground and the snare with my right hand, do da do 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 da. Literally with my left foot I'll go do da do 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 da do do da do 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 da. So really incorporate it, because also aside from the playing part of it or using your left foot hi-hat, it's also a mental thing. Like, can I sing it? Can I sing what I want to play with my left foot? That was the third thing that I wanted to get into. Okay, let me get into that, then I'll answer the questions. I'm getting excited already. Okay. So my left foot, we talked about time, right? We talked about quarter notes. And I know I'm being very repetitive. I'm saying the same thing over and over again because I really wanted to sink in and stay with you. I think that's super, super important because, again, we talked about, and I'm repeating myself again after so many weeks. Sarah, why you keep repeating yourself? But I'm repeating myself because it's for your own good. We talked about internalizing versus memorizing. So I really want you to internalize this. I don't want you to memorize quarter, eighths, and ends. I want you to think, all right, what is the song serving me? What can I do with my left foot? So the three variations of the hi-hat with your left foot, the most common, quarter notes, eighth notes, and on the ends. And then, I always love taking it up a notch. And then we take it up a notch by adding open and close, right? Eighth notes, open, close, open. And then we talked about to the extent that you're splashing. If you're going to release your foot, right? If you're going to go, or if you're going to go, well, you're not letting your foot go, okay? Does that make any sense? So we talked about the importance of the hi-hat helping us keep time. So I talked about, we played the groove. We played... Then I said go through the 16-note permutations with your kick drum. So keep your stability, keep your 2 and 4. 2, then you, okay, so check this. 1. So I'm going to run through the 16-note permutations, some of them, and I'm going to keep my, okay, let's do ends. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, E. E, N, 1 E. End, E, N, sorry, oh my God. Oh, go on a sec. Okay, see, look at that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you see, I made a boo-boo, but I fixed it right away. So that again, that comes with understanding what you're doing, internalizing rather than memorizing. So I wanted to make that point extremely, extremely clear. Alrighty. So we talked about time. Then I also said in your fills, add your hi-hat. So aside from any grooves that you want to play, whether it's on the ride cymbal. So now we've talked about linear patterns. If you go back to my coach streams, we talked about kick, hand, kick, hand. So add your quarters, kick, hand. So if you're playing 16 notes, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and, or on the ends, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and, or on eights, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. So literally add it to everything that you're doing. And even when you're going to the crash, or if you want to be creative, let's say you're adding 8th note hi-hat in the fill, but then when you go on the crash, you go back to quarters. So check it out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Fill. Fill. Fill, but on the ends. Now I'm going back to 8th note. So do you see? Keep that room to get flexible with it. Don't think of it in a very rigid way. That's why I feel that if you literally work on adding your left, spend extra 5 minutes working out your left foot in whatever you're doing. I think it's a very powerful thing. So we talked about grooves. So 2 and 4 on the snare, kick playing 16 notes, fills that like linear patterns that we talked about in previous streams. Just add your left foot to that. And again, quarters on the ends or eighths. Okay, now before I answer the questions, we are going to talk about using your left foot as embellishments. What my teacher used to do in university for me is he used to tell me to take the book Syncopation. Has anybody heard of Syncopation? You can take the book Syncopation. There's another book called Art of Bebop by John Riley, which is another one of my favorite books. There's The New Breed. Any book that has some sort of notation that you can read. Syncopation's great. New Breed is great. Art of Bebop is great. Anything. Or if you don't have any books, that's totally okay, because you know what we have? We have our magic 16th note permutations. And again, for those who don't know 16-note permutations, I encourage you to please go on my last coach streams. You'll find 16-note permutations. To me, 16-note permutations is like the drumming Bible, because literally anything that you want to work on, any flexibility that you want to work on, if you work through all the 16-note permutations, or if you're working in the triplet, 6-tuplet grid, or 16-note or 8-note grid, if you tackle any sort of subdivision and all of its patterns and variations, you can literally play anything that you want. That's how I kind of think about it. But the beautiful thing about these books and the beautiful thing about syncopation is that there's a lot of cool groupings in syncopation. So let's say, for example, if I'm thinking 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN, a book like Syncopation or a book like New Breed, it'll maybe have 1 EN and a EN. And so it just kind of mixes it up. So anyway, those are your options. Grab any drum book that you have that has notation, syncopation, whatever, or 16-note permutation. So this is what I mean by, instead of alongside using your left foot hi-hat as the timekeeper, but also as an instrument, the hi-hat with your left foot is an instrument. It embellishes the groove, right? Like I demonstrated earlier, when you're playing from quarter notes and you go to ends or you go to all eighth notes, it adds another texture, or open and close. So now we're just going to use our hi-hats in a broken way. You know, Tower of Power, David Garibaldi. David Garibaldi is one of my favorites because he is so good at, like, I don't know if the word broken beats is right, but basically linear beats, where it's not like there's anything like 100% constant. There's a lot of moving, you know what I mean? Like, look. So instead of, he'll go. Do you see how that movement is there? So what am I doing? So I'm playing rhythms with my left foot. So work on. Pick your constant. So let's just go back to the one that we referred to. Kick on 1 and 3, snare in 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your left foot is reading either any of the books, Syncopation, New Breed, Art of Bebop, whatever you choose, or playing through 16-note permutations. So I'm going to do 16-note permutations with my left foot. So now we are opening up your left foot to be another instrument, to have a voice of its own. 1, 2, so quarters, 3, 4. Now get ready to put the left foot on the E. E, 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 E and a, E and a, E and a, E and a. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E there. And Triple. 1E in. Yeah. Yeah. So did you see how freely, I mean, I made a little bit of a boo-boo. I need to put this, I need to fix up. Alrighty. Okay, so you saw that I am able to move through different permutations freely. So then if I'm thinking, okay, let me go faster. So now, literally, I'm just improvising. I'm just picking different subdivisions of my left foot hi-hat. And again, it's being used as its own voice. And the roles are reversed. First, the hi-hat was being used as the timekeeper. Now this is the time. And the left foot has the voice. So these are some of the exercises that I've worked on. So let me touch on some questions. Does this help? Now, Marlene, I see that you want sheet music to what I played, the Garibaldi thing. So I was just improvising. I didn't really, it wasn't anything that like a pattern that I wrote down. It was just based on what I've heard Garibaldi play on Tower of Power. But literally what I was doing was playing in a linear fashion. And linear fashion, as you all must know, is that each limb is basically moving independently. But instead of like, because sometimes when we think linear, when we're thinking linear, we think it's only fills, like linear fills. But there's linear grooving too, right? So when I'm saying linear grooving, this is not linear grooving. This is not linear grooving. This is not linear grooving because this is constant. So this is linear grooving of what I was referring to about David Garibaldi. I'll play it slow. So check it out. I'm literally just improvising. Check it out. So one of the secrets for me, now see how I'm adding the hi-hat in the groove with my foot and tapping? 1E, a 2. So I'm putting 1 and 2, 1E and 2. So I'm literally just having fun stomping at different subdivisions. So I challenge you. Here's an exercise. So literally stomp at different subdivisions, play around with it. That's literally what I'm doing with that kind of stuff. So let me know if that, Marlene, if that answers your question. Now let me go to the questions, my friends. All right, Christine, how do you set up your top hat from the bottom hat, distance, space, and the angle of the hi-hat cup to get a nice splash sound? Beautiful question. So to get the, under the hi-hat there is like the screw under here that you can twist. And the more you twist it one way, the hi-hat, I don't know if you look at my hi-hat carefully, I don't know if it's noticeable on camera. I wonder if it is. If you look at my hi-hat, you'll probably see that this side of the hi-hat is wider, slightly wider than this side of the camera. Can you see it? This is not as wide as that. So I've twisted the knob underneath so that I like how it's kind of crooked, because to me it gives it a bit more of a chuk. That's what I do. So I mess around with it. I try to find a good even balance, whether it's from one side or going to the next side. When it's down the middle, it's literally like a hamburger, like your hi-hats are stacked. And I feel like when the hi-hats are stacked, it's just literally hitting on top of one another, rather than when you have this knob turned, you're getting a bit of an angle, so you get more of a. And I want to give you another tip that I just figured out that makes me really happy. So Um, what was I getting at? Oh yeah. So I used to always have issues when I would go to different gigs and I feel like the hi-hat stand wasn't working or wasn't really good, or I wanted more of a chick sound. So upon my signing with the incredible Istanbul Agop cymbals, many moons ago, many months ago, they sent me some hi-hats, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. I love 13s. This is 15s, I believe, but I love 13 hi-hats. So they gave me 13 hi-hats, and I'm like, oh, this is great, top, bottom. And then I saw 13-inch crash, and I'm like, what's this? They're like, Sarah, put it on top of your bottom hat. And I'm like, no way, I didn't even think about that. So that's like another thing that I've been doing lately, is if I want more of a sound, I have my bottom hi-hat, and then on top of the bottom hi-hat, I nest a crash cymbal. So I have so I'll have the bottom hi-hat, and then I'll add a crash like underneath, and then I'll put the top back, and then you can hear a really pronounced. So that's another way that if I, like my hi-hat stand's not good, or if I don't have the cymbal of my choices, I'll stack up the bottom hi-hat. Let me know if that helps with the chick. Next question. Next question. Is your hi-hat setup dependent on the type of music? That's a very good question. I have to think about that. When you say, is my hi-hat setup dependent on the type of music, do you mean like the type of hi-hat, or do you mean like how I use the hi-hat? I'll just answer both. The type of hi-hats that I use are extremely dependent on the situation. I even have like 10-inch hi-hats that are really small that I love. And when I use the 10-inch hi-hats, they are more so for like textures and not very like time keeping. It's more like lighter. Whereas like if I'm playing more fusiony, I love these 30th anniversary Istanbul cymbals because I love thin cymbals. I don't like cymbals that are too thick. I find these hi-hats, these 15-inch 30th anniversary hi-hats have a chick, but they're not too heavy. So I love these. But then I also have like thicker dry ones that can be used for more like rock stuff. So it definitely does really depend. And especially when I'm playing jazz too. When I'm playing jazz, you need to have a good chick. So the hi-hat choice depends on the type of music. The how much I use my hi-hat also depends on the music. So when I'm playing for an artist, or when I used to play for artists, and especially if it was like hip-hop or rock, I don't know if I'd be using my left foot hi-hat that much. But definitely in improvised music and jazz or fusion or anything like that, I'm definitely using my left foot as much as I always try to sneak in my left foot wherever I can. I think it's become an actual problem now. Next question. Is the hi-hat always heel up? Beautiful question. Usually for me, I like to have my hi-hat heel up, for sure. You can have it. Yeah, I mean, I need to think about that for a second. So for me, definitely I don't like heel down. I feel like, so it depends how you sit, how one sits. So if I sit farther away, I have room for my foot to extend. Whereas if I'm too close and my foot is heeled down, there's no room for my ankle to make any sort of movement. So I feel like for me, heel up is very great and very powerful, but I can also be subtle with it. So this is where we want to be in control of our dynamics. Remember how we talked about open and close, the splash open or the small open or the smallest open, or even the chick. Whoa, that's a tight chick. Or if it's small but a bit loose, or a looser chick. So I find it to be very important. It's very important for me to be very finicky with the sounds. But I find heel up definitely serves all of those purposes. And also when I'm sitting, it's like my core has to be very centered, so then I can move my legs to do what they want. If that makes any sense, let me know if that makes sense. Next question. Arnav, when I play drums and cymbals along with the hi-hat foot, I'm not able to hear the hi-hat foot sound clearly and can't detect while playing. Am I playing the exercise correct or playing the hi-hat foot correctly with the song? Any advice for that? Arnav, beautiful question. I definitely have advice for that. So One of the advices being, what kind of hi-hat stand do you have? Some of the stands, and even clutches, like Remo has a really good clutch that I don't have it. This is the Yamaha clutch, which is amazing as well. I love the Remo clutch because clutches, I think, also really define the sound of the hi-hat. Sometimes when the clutch is not really good, in my experience, when I hit down, the pole sinks in and it just becomes such a nightmare. So make sure you have a good hi-hat clutch, and then also make sure your pole is screwed in tightly. These are like the small things that matter. Also make sure at the bottom with the screw that you've turned it. Have you tried having it center to the left or to the right or to the utmost left or to the utmost right? Like, what have you maybe check out those possibilities. And then on top of that, if you feel like it's still not working, the tip that I gave earlier is adding a crash or another cymbal on top of the bottom. So it's like literally, so I just want to make sure I'm super clear about that. So let's say here's my bottom. Let's just say, I'm not going to use this, but so let's say, okay, I have a crash. Literally, you nest another cymbal underneath. Actually, maybe this one can work, even though it's different. Let's see. I mean, yeah, there's slightly more of a chick, but imagine if you have another crash that's the same size of the hi-hat. That will make your sound much more chickier. So that's a solution. Another solution is, have you ever tried, there's like tambourines, there's jingles. There's a company called Big Fat Snare Drum, and they have awesome tambourine jingles. And I found when I'm not at my favorite, if I'm not in front of my favorite gear, and I as well cannot, and this is a problem that I've always faced, is hearing that left foot hi-hat. I would carry like this jingle around with me that is just like, yeah, you put it around your hi-hat, like a little circle, and then you can hear the chick very clearly. So that's something that I would recommend look into, Arnav. Let me know if that helps you. Lil Sean Roberts, have you ever finished any of these books? If yes, what was your approach, and how long did it take you to finish before you go through it again and experiment, milk the exercises for more ideas? So Lil Sean, let me tell you something, okay? I have never finished a book. I've never finished a drum book in my life. I think in my schooling years, maybe I got through like a quarter of a book. Or at least if I didn't like go through every exercise of the book, I've at least skimmed through it to understand what's the purpose of the book. Why are there like 50 pages? What are these 50 pages for? So I try to condense the information if I find like I'm losing interest quickly, because I find for myself I definitely lose interest quickly, because for me personally, I like to tackle my problems head on. So if I feel like, oh, okay, this is 10 pages of permutations, what permutations are there? Let me touch on a few. Which ones work, which ones don't work. So I like to think of it in a very strategic pattern. So this is the thing, when practicing, the goal is not to finish the book. It's never the goal. And I feel like sometimes I used to get stuck in that, and I have to still catch myself. Like, for example, like I try my best to do listening every day, whether it's listening to albums or whatever. And for me, it's always like, yes, I listened to 2 full-length albums today or whatever. But it's like, that's not the way art works. You know what I mean? That's not the way music works. Whereas, like, again, if you're doing math drills, or, you know, if I mop the floor, it's like, yeah, I mop the floor. But if I finish a book, like, of all of the exercises, that could mean nothing. You know what I mean? That there's that Bruce, I forgot, that martial arts guy. My brain is like not working today. There's that saying that I fear the man that can do one kick 10,000 different ways rather than doing 10,000 different kicks. So to me, I think it's important to break things down and understand why you have the desire to go through a whole book and why. Let me know if that answers your question, Lil Sean. Yes, Aaron. Thank you, Bruce Lee. That's correct. Okay, next question, Trent. I find it hard keeping time with my left and changing my kick from one linear pattern to the next. Would these exercises help with that? 100% yes, they would. Also, what I would recommend. So, for example, if I'm doing linear exercises, let me show you. So I find keeping my left foot and changing my kick from. Okay. So first things first, you have to start really slow, Trent. Start really slow. Like I would literally start at 40, 50, or even 60 BPM, or sometimes 30 if I'm in a peaceful, patient mood. So let's go through kick, right, left. and then we'll go right, left, kick, kick. So we're going to repeat kick, kick, right, left, a couple of okay, well, I only have one hand because I'm holding the hand with the mic. We're just going to do kick, kick, right, right for a couple of times. Then we're going to go right, right, kick, kick. And this will not change. So check it out. 1 E and let me just open it a little bit so you can see it better. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and okay, now switch. 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 That's how I literally work on it. It's like I take it really slow. I first understand what exercises am I trying to switch in between. What am I working on? Then I choose the left foot hi-hat pattern. And remember, we talked about the top 3. Quarters on the ands or eighth notes. Pick one. Then you can, and then we talked about open, close, all that. Okay, anyway. So work through it slowly. And for me, clarity of subdivisions is extremely important. So when you are, for example, let's say you're playing kick, kick, right, right, and you're putting your hi-hat on the ends. 1 E and 2 E and like make sure 1 E and right? Or if I'm playing eighth notes, 1 E and 1 E and so I know exactly, left foot is lining up with which limb. We're in between. What's happening? So please take it slow and switch. Play the game of switching between what you're working on. And take time, record yourself, listen back. Is it clear? So let me know if that helps, Trent. Marlene. I need a lesson on playing different sounds. Example, splash versus tap on an E-kit, as I don't get any different sounds by playing them differently. Can you suggest where I may get some instruction on that? Thank you, Sarah. Love this lesson. Thank you, Marlene. That makes me so happy. So now check this out. What E-kit do you have? What E-kit do you have? Do you have a Yamaha? Do you have a Roland? Do you know what is it? Do you have the E-kit that is just the pedal? Is that the E-kit that you have? Can you let me know what E-kit that you have? Because you can get some different models of left foot hi-hat stands that you can put on your E-kit, on your electronic kit. You can actually get different hi-hat stands, and you can get the E-kits that have 2 pads. Or Zildjian also has Zildjian has low volume electronic hi-hats, something like that, but basically they can be used for an E-kit, and literally the cymbals and the hi-hats, Gen, that's called Gen Z, Gen something, if you go on Google. If you go on Google, check out Zildjian Gen electronic cymbals. It's literally like cymbals, but Gen 16, thank you, Christine. Yeah, Gen 16, and they have holes in them, and you can just get like a regular hi-hat stand and do it. In my opinion, for a so this is my personal opinion. I think if you're serious about your left foot hi-hat, like I was extremely serious, I think it's important to work with a real hi-hat pedal. I really think so. Because touch is everything, especially if you're developing like your left foot. You want to feel like, I mean, if the pedal works for you, but that's great. But if you feel like it's not doing you any justice, I would suggest like talk to Roland or with whichever company that you're using. Oh, you have a real hi-hat. Okay, so Marlene, so you have a real hi-hat pedal. Iron Cobra, beautiful. So what do your hi-hats on your E-kit look like? Are they 2 black pads? Like, are they 2 hi-hat cymbals? Or is it just like 1 cymbal on your hi-hat? Explain to me. Because maybe then it's not the 2 black hi-hat. Okay, so you have 2 black. So, okay, how about this? Okay. I mean, the 2 hi-hat black cymbals, I think, usually do work. But if you find like they're not getting the subtleties, maybe look into Zildjian's Gen Next cymbals. Zildjian also has low volume cymbals. These 2 are great options. I think Sabian does too. Oh no, okay, Marlene, 1 cymbal sitting on a bass. Okay. If it's 1 cymbal sitting on a bass, then I think it's important for you to look into 2. I know that a lot of electronic have only one hi-hat. But yes, they have a real hi-hat stand with only one pad. I would suggest looking into like Roland's 2. They have 2 pads, and or check out the Zildjian cymbals, either or. But I would suggest, because I don't know, for me, I like to try to get as authentic as possible. So if I'm doing the splash, I want to feel both of them. You want to feel it splashing, so you know, okay, half a splash, like closed splash, versus like open splash. You know what I mean? Let me know if that helps. Next question. Drama EO. Sarah, this is the lesson I've been looking for all my life. Yay, that makes me so happy. I'm finally starting to get a hang of the hi-hat. Beautiful. But when I get really into it, I started using the ankle as the fulcrum. Interesting. I'm trying to bring it back to smaller movements for speed. Should I just stick to what I feel comfortable and trust that my feet will find its way? So when you say, I have to think about that for a second. You started using your ankle as the fulcrum. I have to think about that. If you started using your ankle as the fulcrum, if you're using your ankle as the fulcrum, Drumeo, are you saying that you're doing heel down? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Drumeo, let me know. Okay, but I'll answer your question in the meanwhile, just in case if you are not here and if you're going to watch it later, my friend Drumeo. Okay, if your ankle is being used as the fulcrum, maybe you are doing heel down. For me personally, yes, the faster you go, I think it's important to have smaller motions, like... But I feel like for me, heel up, I do heel up, but I do ankle, like I do tapping. I can only do that with heel up. I definitely think stick to what's comfortable, but I would also say I would challenge you to bring your awareness to what you are doing. So if your ankle is the fulcrum, are you doing heel down? What does it make you feel? Does it give you any pain? Sometimes, like, I feel like if I'm doing too much with my left foot, it gets crampy. So I'll do like a little bit of I'll loosen up my foot a little bit. You got to keep it, we have to sometimes, I feel like, to get speed, to get control, we have to keep our limbs very wiggly. Drumeo, you're in the chat. Let me go back. I twist them like you're doing okay, so this is swivel you're doing basically. Okay, you're doing swivel. I mean, swivel is great. You can get swivel really. Actually, yeah, swivel is great. Yeah, so it's like heel up, but swivel, you're tapping. I think that's great. I mean, definitely stick to what's comfortable, what works for you. Keep your eyes open to different possibilities, if any come up. Like if you want to do just heel up tapping, like there's heel up tapping, then there's swivel, but your heel is up. So yeah. Don't move your knee. So see, this is like, for me, this is, okay, I don't know if I can not move my knee. This is hard for me. I need to work on this drum EO. But yeah, for me, heel up definitely, for me, is ideal. So, I mean, if swivel's working for you and you figured it out and you feel like it's comfortable, yeah. And smaller motions, yes, you can have more speed with. Maybe track your progress even more, like, hey, I'm at 130 BPM. Oh, I'm at 140. And you'll notice your movements will change. Let me know if I even answered your question. I hope I did. David, how do I get the snare drum sound you have? Beautiful question that I love when people ask me about my tuning. It makes my day. So with my snare drum, I have kind of this policy that I use with my drums, that I tighten my bottom head tighter than the top head. Because I feel like when you tighten the bottom, you're tightening pitch, and the top is just the tension or the sound, if I'm even saying that correctly. But anyway, so my bottom is really tight. And my top is tight too, but my bottom is slightly tighter than my top, but they are both really tight. And my snares, like the thingy here, is all the way up. That's literally it, and I have a moon gel. I love when it cracks. And I have the Remo controlled sound coated with the blue circle in the middle. That's my favorite head to use. Okay, my friends, I want to tell you, thank you as always. It's always a pleasure being here with you. I hope this lesson helped you and uncovered some things about left foot hi-hat. Your left foot hi-hat is also an instrument. It's also a drum sound on its own. We think of snare, kick drum, toms, cymbals, and we all practice patterns on that. And I sometimes feel that we could definitely spend more attention with our left foot, rather whether it is a timekeeper playing on the quarters, ands, and eighth notes, right? The three most used hi-hat patterns that I find. And then we're going open, close, close, open, or just close. Then the types of splashes, if we want it to be completely splashed, little splash, all of these things. So whether we want to use the left foot hi-hat as a timekeeper, whether we want to use it as embellishments in a pattern, whether we want to use it in a solo that we're playing. Sometimes if I like to do a little bit of a rhythmic solo, and let's say I'm playing with band members, I always do my best to keep quarters with my hi-hat, or at least land on a quarter every 4 bars, and it just kind of helps keep the music together. Also, explore, add the left foot hi-hat in anything and everything that you're doing, even if you're just jamming to a top 40 song or whatever. I challenge you, play the groove and switch your hi-hat from quarters, ands, and eighths. Maybe for 16 bars you're playing quarters, then 16 bars you're playing ends, then whatever it is. And then I want to take it even a step further for you. You know, we talked about how literature came after the music, right? So if I'm saying ends, and 2, and eighths, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 quarters, 1 2 3 4. But now go ch 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 ch. And you'll notice when you're jamming to a song, you're going to notice, like when you hit the ends, chorus, verse. It's so, I can't tell you, like, it's so powerful. Okay? I hope this helped you. Have a beautiful week, and I shall see you next Thursday at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. EST. Much love. Love you guys. See you next week.